Now let's take a real quick look at managing server-wide permissions. Now, in previous releases of SQL Server, you applied permissions at the server level based on membership and fixed server roles. And you can see those server roles, they were very similar to the ones that we still have here. But now SQL Server 2005 gives you an added capability that you can explicitly grant specific server level permissions to server level principals. Now there's the key. They have to be a server level principal. What is that? Well, if I look at my server here and go into security and look at logins, a login on the SQL Server is a server level principal. So Frank is a login on the SQL Server, so he is a server level principal. So let's go work with some permissions on Frank and take a look at an example of this. Notice when I first go into Frank, I can go into Securables, and if I want to add something here, notice the objects I want to add, and I clicked on Add here. For this particular server, I want to add to the server mark for login Frank. What do I want to grant Frank? Now notice all the possibilities I have here. I'll just read a few of them. Alter any connection, alter any database, alter any login. Notice connect to SQL Server, shut down the SQL Server, view any database. And so notice I can go through here and grant these various permissions. And then, of course, with grant, that gives not only Frank the ability to do this, but to also grant that to other people. And then when I say OK, that's added those to Frank. And again, just like before, I can come back in. And once I go out and get Frank, or this particular user, I can click on Effective Permissions, and I can see what all Frank can do. Okay? Now, keep in mind that when I did this, this applied these permissions for Frank to the entire server. Now, I don't care what database it is, don't care what object it is in a database, I just gave Frank permissions to do whatever I gave him to here. So that's the way to provide server level permissions to your various principals.